Hey guys, welcome to the Anatheron guide here for Glory. We're going to try to make this one pretty quick. So let's just get right into talking about Anatheron's abilities. This is the bad guy. He apparently works for the jailer or for Daddy Denathrius. I'm not sure. I don't know what's going on in WoW anymore. But right now he's trying to attack us with the Burning Legion. Alright, so his abilities are as follows. He has the Vampiric Aura, which heals him for 300% of the melee attacks that he deals. So basically, anytime he attacks the main tank, he should heal himself for 300% of how much damage that's done. So mitigation on the main tank is quite nice, can reduce that and make your kill a lot easier. That's good. He also has a sleep. It's an area of effect sleep, so we're going to be spread out for many reasons, but this is one of the reasons we're going to be spread out for this. It's not dispellable, so don't worry about calling for a dispel, but it does break on damage. So maybe if you have those beers from Blackrock Depths, you might be able to avoid this sometimes by popping those beers and getting drunk during the fight, because it does do, I think, a small ticking dot to you. So we'll check that out, see if it works. His next ability is very important, probably the most important in this fight, Carrion Swarm. It's a conal attack that's targeted on a certain player in the raid, so it can target any of the 25 players. And then it has a conal attack that hits them for probably about 50% of their HP on a DPS class or healer class, maybe a little bit more, maybe 60 to 65%, which is not marginal, especially with other things coming in. But the big thing with this is it reduces the healing done by that person who gets this debuff by 75%. So again, we want our healers to be spread out. So no more than 2 of, let's say, our 5 or 2 of our 6 healers has this at one point. Okay. His last ability is he summons these Infernals every 1 minute. And the Infernals have an Immolation aura. So they're going to be tanked by an off-tank and fire resistance. And they also, when they get summoned, they do an area of effect damage / 2-second stun when they land. So we want to make sure we're not landing it on other people and stunning them and, getting, we don't want to, deal additional avoidable damage to our raid. Okay. So let's just get right into strategy. And there are 2 strategies for this boss. We'll go over one in depth because we're probably going to be doing it week 1, week 2. And a second strategy when we might have a lot more DPS in the raid, we'll go over very quickly at the end because we might start using that. So the first strategy that we're going to talk about, so we're going to be using early on, is we're going to be killing some of the Infernals. Actually doing the fight how Blizzard probably intended it to be done instead of kiting the ads, right? And here is going to be our raid positioning. So let's talk about that since this fight is really all about positioning. It's much less about execution, although of course execution, you need to do it to kill the boss, but positioning will really help. So let's talk about all of this. So if Anatheron is tanked here, blue is going to be our main tank, tanking him, facing him this way. Red's going to be our melee. And they're just going to be pumping into the boss. All melee does is pump into the boss unless one thing happens. Okay. Our healers are going to be as follows. Let's say if we have 6 healers, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 spread around the boss like this. So if the conal attack comes this way, like, let's see, our conal attack. Let's do a pink conal attack. So let's say our conal attack comes from one cone here like this. Only one healer gets hit with it, and maybe some DPS behind. Okay. So we only have 1 to 2 healers with the debuff at a time. Back here, we have 2 Warlocks that are just going to be pumping the boss the full time, and 1 Shadow Priest that's going to be pumping the boss the full time. The reason for that is we want the Shadow Priest to put up Misery and the Shadow damage debuff on the boss full time, and then the Warlocks can just pump into the boss with that. Okay. Other than that, we have 2 other healers over here. They're going to be off-tank and main-tank healing. They're just going to be healing everything, basically. And then the rest of our raid, our ranged DPS, so like our Elemental Shamans, our Boomkins, our Hunters, all of that kind of stuff, our 3rd Warlock, our 2nd Shadow Priest, are all going to be lined up like this. That way we're decently spread out for the conal attack and also for the sleep. And the reason for this is we want to be in range of the boss and we want to be in range of the Infernal in the kill zone. Okay. So what's going to happen is, let's say one of these ranged classes here gets targeted for the Infernal Summon. You have 3 seconds from the time you know it's going to be on you to when it actually summons, gets called down, and stuns you and does the AoE damage. You're going to want to run to the off tank. Of course, far enough away that it doesn't stun the off tank, but as close to the kill position right here as possible. And then you get stunned, and then you just run out. And then we're going to be killing the first Infernal. We're probably going to be killing Infernal 1, 2, and 3. Well, maybe 1 and 2, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. It depends on the DPS and the kill times. We'll see. Okay, that's if you're anywhere here in the melee. If you're one of the 2 Warlocks or the Shadow Priest back here that get targeted by the Infernal, you don't want to run through the melee to get them all stunned. Basically, you just want to get the Infernal within exorcism range of the Paladin off tank. So basically run to here, where then the Paladin can exorcism and have the Infernal run this way. So the immolation aura is not hitting a bunch of people. Or if you're this Warlock, run to here. So then it can be exorcismed and run to this way. Okay. Other than that, melee, you're just pumping the boss, making sure you keep up the Mortal Strike, and then we'll just deal with the damage as it comes in. If we position appropriately, no more than 2 healers should have the debuff at a time, and so the other 4 healers should be able to take care of the main tank, off tank, and the raid. And we're going to rotate Bloodlusts on 2 caster groups on the first 2 Infernals, to get them down as fast as possible. The melee group, we're going to Bloodlust sub 20% for, of course, executes and stuff. And if we have a Shaman in these caster groups, we're also probably going to Bloodlust either directly on pull or sub 20%. We'll find out. Okay. Other than that, if we decide to kill 3 Infernals, Inferno 4 and possibly Inferno 5, we're just going to have the off tanks tank it out. Okay. And then if we do our positioning right, and we just get some nice healing execution and make sure our Infernals are placed in the correct position, should be no big deal. It is a big step up from the first boss in difficulty and positioning, but really not that much. So really quickly, to go over the second strategy is if we can pump hard enough to where we maybe possibly only get 3 Infernal spawns, so this would maybe be later on in the phase or something, we'll have the off tank with fire resistance kite around these kind of things. And basically just kite the Infernals to try to follow them. The best thing is, again, a Paladin, so they can pick up with Exorcism, and also because they have Pursuit of Justice, they should be able to outrun the mobs. And you can, gas, and go and Kanse Dorifto around these things, and of course the Infernals cannot go over them, they have to physically go around them. Okay, so we're probably not going to be using that strategy week 1, but later on we very well might, so just be ready for it. Other than that, that's it for Anatheron. Again, just to reiterate, positioning is really key on this, and then making sure we just don't kill our friends and heal them up.